Did you know that 88% of consumers are less likely to return to a website after a bad user experience? 88%. And outdated copywriting practices might be just part of what's driving them away. You're listening to the High Conversion Health Marketer podcast, the show that helps you craft memorable copy and messaging that connects, captivates, and converts. My name is Linda Malone, certified conversion copywriter and founder of the Copyworks. My copy has boosted website conversions for my clients by up to 40%, and my emails regularly land large dollar contracts for them. So my mission is to help you, the health and fitness marketer, attract your ideal customer with copy they can't resist so you can grow your business. So today we're tackling something somewhat controversial. We are talking about breaking the rules, when to break them. Specifically, we're talking about long-standing, outdated copywriting rules that really should be tossed out with that old BlackBerry phone you have in your garage that you think maybe one day might be in vogue again. So some of these were gospel a decade ago, which seems like forever in AI terms, right? Some were trending just last month. And some, well, they've been misinterpreted so many times, they've probably created their own support group to recover from the stress of moving on. So we're going to break down these myths, like why keep copy short isn't always the golden rule, how jargon, which I always caution against, can actually work in your favor, and why AI is not just for shortcuts. So let's get into it. So this topic came to mind about a year or so ago when I posted on LinkedIn about the dangers of relying on Grammarly for editing. And wow, did that ever strike a nerve. It was one of my rare viral posts. It quickly went viral. A lot of people were saying some not so nice things. In a nutshell, my argument was that effective copywriting was often more conversational and everything didn't need to follow certain grammar rules. So you can imagine the pushback I got from people who really do everything by the rules. So the same thing, writing for a scholarly paper, maybe you want to have, certain rules in place. That's different. But when your goal is connection and triggering emotions through your words in people so that they take action, you want to speak like a person. You want to write like you speak, or like your client or customer speaks. They speak in sentence fragments. They start sentences with words like and but. They use slang, and in short, they really speak like humans, not robots. So let's start with number one. All copy needs to be short. This is the rule that you've heard. So you've always heard this, keep it snappy, keep it short. And a lot of times this is really what you want to do. But here's the thing with a lot of marketing, this pertains. It depends, right? If you're writing an Instagram caption, sure. You want to keep it short, scroll stopping. But if you're selling a $3,000 gym setup or a $2,000 health coaching program, 1 or 2 lines is not going to do it. So instead of obsessing over brevity, think about relevance. Does every word mean something? Does it earn its keep? Is it there for a reason? Does each line pull your reader into the next line, which is the purpose of all copy, right? One sentence should lead them to the next sentence. Because longer copy sells. It's been shown through surveys and research that when you're selling a product that is a higher end product, your audience they want every detail. They may not read every detail, but they'll go back and read exactly and specifically what they want and what they need in order to make a decision. Next up, and this has been a pet peeve of mine that if you know me at all, you're going to think, wow, she's kind of taken a 180-degree turn on this. But it's about using marketing speak. So when I say don't use jargon or marketing speak in your copy, what I'm talking about, a lot of it is like the AI type of thing. Like when you put a prompt into AI, because I use AI a lot for a lot of things to help outline, and I'm going to get into that in a minute, but it will often come out with the same words because it's pulling from the internet. It's pulling from other marketing materials So a lot of what it uses are words that you hear way too often, like up level and game changer, these types of things. But when you're talking about health and fitness, these industry terms, not those particular ones, but they can help you build trust because the person reading it will say, hey, they get my language, they get it, they understand where I'm coming from. So the trick isn't to avoid it altogether. It's knowing when to use it. Like you're in the room with that person. So an example on the fitness end is if I am speaking or writing for a men's publication or a men's product, I may use words like ripped and shredded because that's a lot of times what the goal is for men when they want to get really in shape and lean. I would not use those words for women. Women almost never use those words. They would want to be toned and in shape and fit and strong, but ripped and shredded is not really in their typical vernacular. So that's what I mean by using jargon the right way. Okay, so number 3, every piece of copy does not need a call to action or a CTA. So a lot of times people think copywriting is to get people to buy. And ultimately, that can be the ultimate call to action. But it doesn't mean every piece of copy leading up to that sales page or that piece of sales copy needs to sell. So it could be using what could be called, instead of a call to action, a call to value. You may see this on pages. I think I have it on my website page where you click a button and it leads you to a different part of the website that tells you a little bit more. So you can say something like, take a look or get inspired. It's a softer call to action than buy now or click here. So you want to avoid treating every piece of copy like it's a hard close. Number 4 is only using AI to polish your drafts. This is a mistake because when AI first came out, and I'm talking pretty specifically about ChatGPT because that's the most well-known one that people started using right off the bat, including myself. It really came up with predictable outcomes that were all the same. And so a lot of people avoided AI right out of the box and said, I'll use it to polish my copy, to maybe to proofread. But it has changed a lot. And AI has become really a major player in the copywriting world. And so you don't have to keep it in that same proofreading box. It's great with proofreading. I use it for that myself. But it's not just for quick fixes. So I use it, and these are things that I would suggest, for starting points, getting a rough draft from your AI copy assistant and then making it your own. You always have to make it your own at the end. And making sure, you also want to make sure that you're using the right prompts. So if it's a question about how to write a particular thing, you never cut and paste. You probably know this already, but it could be that there's some mistakes that you perceive that may not be mistakes as well. An example would be if there's repetition of a particular word or phrase or a pattern, as long as it's not really overdone, it could be that AI sees these keywords and wants to make sure that you're getting them all in for SEO reasons. So in other words, use AI judiciously, use your own common sense, and infuse it with your own voice. But don't just use it for proofreading. And then number 5 is the rule, and I've talked about this, is to write at the level of a 5th grader. So the whole point of that, because it's another post on LinkedIn that I had a lot of pushback from, is it's not about talking down to your audience. It's about talking clearly. Because research shows that even highly educated people find it easier to get through copy when it's written using simple words. It's not that they don't understand or that you don't understand the words. It's that it's easier to get through the copy when it's written simply. You want to find what you want to find. You don't want to stop and think about, okay, I know what that means, and then move on. It's like speed bumps in your copy. You want to match your audience's sophistication level, but if you're writing for a technical audience, it's different. So you don't want to write like a 5th grader if it's if your audience is very technical and they know these terms and it's easy for them to understand. So as always, know your audience, but just make sure it's clear for your particular audience. And then number 6, lastly, is don't be afraid of using more than one emotion in your copy. So there have been rules that say just stick with one emotion if you want to trigger, a certain nostalgia or excitement, to make sure that that's the same voice and tone that you use through your whole copy. You don't have to just keep it at that level, because the best copy, and this is best illustrated actually in a novel if you're reading something long, the best copy takes readers on an emotional journey. And by that, I mean, you want to have them maybe feeling nostalgic at the beginning, and then hopeful, and then relieved because you're starting to present your solution, and then excited because they have now found what it is that they need. So I think the one copywriting formula that really works well for this is the pain, agitation, solution formula. So you focus on the pain or the challenge, and then the agitation. Now you're even going to make them feel a little bit worse, but then you're going to bring them around to the solution. So there's the relief. So don't worry about just sticking with one particular emotion. So let's review quickly everything. So there's 6 tips here about copywriting rules that you really should probably break. Number 1, copy doesn't always need to be short. It just needs to earn its place. If it's a product that requires more copy, you have to make it long, and you have to explain whatever you have to explain. Number 2, jargon isn't necessarily the enemy, but you want to use it wisely, use it according to your client, your reader, and use it sparingly to build trust with your targeted audience. Number 3, AI isn't just for shortcuts and proofreading. You want to use it to spark creativity, kickstart new ideas, and a whole lot more than just proofreading. And number 4, not every piece of copy needs a traditional buy now call to action. Nurture first, sell second. So you build up to that final call to action. And number 5 is write clearly and simply, but without being condescending to your audience. So 5th grade, writing at a 5th grade level isn't always necessary. It depends on your audience. And if it's technical, you can write in a more technical language. Just know who your audience is. And then lastly, don't be afraid to use a variety of emotional triggers in your copy. You don't have to just stick with one. And always remember, as I mentioned, that the goal of copywriting isn't to follow outdated rules. You always have to go back and check to see, does this still work for me? The whole idea of really good copywriting is to connect with your reader. And so as copywriters, the more we evolve our tactics, the stronger the results will be. So if this episode got you thinking about being smarter and fresher and taking a fresher approach to your copy, be sure to subscribe and please leave a review. Thanks for tuning into the High Conversion Health Marketer, and I'll see you next week.